We'd like to welcome you to the Donnie Glover Show. We have a very special lineup for you today, including Zavilla Jackson Preston up in Harlem with the Black Business Empowerment Commission, and also Kelly Vaughn. I don't know if you've heard about these protests out there at Vince's Crab Pot or whatever he has out there at Middle River, but the black folks are not tolerating the chicanery and tomfoolery that Vince has been putting down. Stay tuned for the rest of the show. We'd like to welcome you to the Donnie Glover Show. This is a very special edition. We're very grateful to Chosen Media and also to our very dear colleagues and friends in New York City, whom we're about to bring on live. Just wanted to tell you that over the past 9 years, BMOREnews.com and now HarlemBusinessJournal.com, our sister news agency in the big city, we've been producing these Black Wall Street Awards. And of the many places in New York, our favorite clearly is Harlem. I love Brooklyn, but Brooklyn can be a little rough to navigate at times. But once you've met Zavilla Jackson Preston, once you've met the godfather of Harlem, Walter Edwards, once you've met the Harlem Business Alliance's Regina Smith, then you've been really touched by the core of New York City. Now Brooklyn is fine. As a matter of fact, it is imperative that I share some history with you about New York. Often you've heard me talk about Black Wall Street, and that was in Tulsa, roughly between 1906 and 1921. Of course, the Gap Band song, "You Dropped a Bomb on Me," refers to the May 31st, June 1st, 1921 destruction. So this is the 99th anniversary since that destruction. Next year, of course, we're building up to that, would be the 100th anniversary. But that was Oklahoma. And let me just add, besides Greenwood, or where Tulsa is, the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, besides Greenwood, there was also Boley, Oklahoma, a black community. There was Langston, the first black community, as in Langston Hughes, if I'm not mistaken. But there were also another 25 other independent black communities. Interestingly, Texas had, in East Texas, a whole 25 independent black communities of their own. But shifting back to New York, Seneca Village, in between 82nd and 89th Street, Central Park, Seneca Village was an independent black community, and it dates back to 1825. In Brooklyn, right there in between, 158 Buffalo Avenue, in between Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights, is the Weeksville Heritage Center. And that's where James Weeks and other independent black people pioneered the community called Weeksville. So with us, joining us today is Zavilla Jackson Preston, and she's with the Black Business Empowerment Commission, of which I am a proud member. And it is a collective of black community organizations, churches, and business owners that have come together to put forth a national plan for black business empowerment. Hi, my love, we're here.
So, Donnie, thank you very much for the invitation to join you on today's show. Much appreciated.
Zavilla, you, Regina Smith, Walter Edwards, and the entire team at the Black Business Empowerment Commission have been working diligently since at least November towards a goal. What's the goal?
Well, the goal ultimately is to put forth a platform in late August for the Democratic and Republican. Both parties will be holding their conventions prior to the November election. After 400 years of repression in this place we call America, we feel that it's time for us as black people to really focus on the money and business development, entrepreneurship. We believe that that will be the path forward for black people as we look forward in this century.
How did you become a part?
I started out just minding my own business as an architect 26 years ago, trying to build a practice, a private practice in New York City. It quickly became apparent to me that black people seem to be locked out of doing business in New York City with city agencies. So I began to talk to my colleagues. So Initially, 26 years ago, I started organizing architects and engineers to try to collectively have a discussion with New York City about parity in terms of procurement practices for New York City agencies. 20 years later, the struggle continued, and I began to understand that the fight and the struggle was a broader fight than just about architects and engineers, that it appeared that all Black businesses in New York City have been locked out. In New York City, Black people represent roughly 22% of the population. When you look at the government's procurement practices on the city and state level, we were getting less than 2% of the business, and that was across all market sectors. So I began to organize more broadly with different business owners, through my association with the Harlem Business Alliance.
Before you go too far, I'm hearing you say that 2% of the business for a group of people, Black people, who make up 22% of the population, that 2% is just simply unacceptable.
Most definitely. That was dead on arrival when we began to look at the very hard statistics of the numbers in New York City. So that led us to loosely form an organization here in New York City called WEG, which has the same mission as what the Black Business Empowerment Commission mission is, except we focus on New York City specifically. Out of that group, we began to think, like, if this is what's going on in New York City, why don't we begin to reach out to people across the country to see if Black people in other Black centers across America were having similar experiences relative to the number of people within their city, Black people, and what their procurement numbers were looking like in terms of engaging, doing business with the city or state level government. And surprise! And would you the same or worse?
Same or worse?
Yes, the same or worse.
So
you look at Philadelphia, you can look at Chicago, you can look at Detroit, Cleveland, LA, wherever Black people are, there appears to be a blackout on doing business with us. So that led to the Black Business Empowerment Commission and sort of coming together nationally so that we can speak one language. We, as Black business owners, are no longer willing to stay in our individual silos and have Philadelphia fighting their fight alone, LA by themselves, Baltimore by themselves. We know that there's strength in our numbers. We know that we stand on common ground, and we know that we are stronger when we act collectively. So we intend to speak with one voice to both political parties in August to say that here is an agenda that we know will be effective on the ground in terms of empowering Black businesses not to survive, but to thrive. We're not interested in surviving. We've been doing that for 400 years. We believe that we're at a point where we have the business acumen, we have the skill set, we have the ability to thrive if we can lift the yoke of oppression that has held us down economically as a community. We know that when Black businesses thrive, Black families thrive. We know that Black business owners employ other Black businesses, generally locally based in Black communities. So this sort of focus on Black business can have a ripple effect throughout our community. And we believe that when we talk about education, when we talk about workforce development and all of these ancillary things that are tertiary to the actual Black business growth and development, we believe that we can position ourselves to fund these things for ourselves and act from a position of self-determination in terms of what we envision for ourselves, our family, and for our community.
When COVID hit, and certainly our prayers go out to you and the family there in New York City. We know that Regina, among others, she's a honey badger, but she got hit with COVID, doing much better now, let me report. But politically, the team has a message for the Congressional Black Caucus as it relates to minority. What is that message?
Well, we actually have a question for the Congressional Black Caucus. We'd like for them to clarify for us whether or not they are indeed the Congressional Black Caucus or whether they are the Congressional Minority Caucus.
Why do you ask?
What we saw come from them in the height of the COVID-19 crisis was when I believe when the second or third phase of the money was being released, they sent an 11-page document to the Congress prior to the money being released with basically what they detailed as their ask. And when I say ask, what were they asking for? 11-page document stating what they wanted to see funded. And out of that document, it totaled, we added it up, $490 billion with a B. And when you really read this document, they were asking for $10 million, and that's debatable, for the 2.6 million Black-owned businesses across America, which totaled about $3.86 per Black business. I think they mentioned the word minority, small business, women-owned, numerous times, and that paled in the number of times they mentioned the word Black.
Okay.
So having read that document, one has to be left questioning them. Are you the Congressional Black Caucus or the Congressional Minority Caucus? And if you are not indeed there to represent Black people, then we would say, please stop perpetrating a fraud on our people, remove the name Black from your caucus name, and just simply say you are the Congressional Minority Caucus, because you're putting forth something that's very confusing.
Right. So if
think that you are there to represent us, and if indeed that is not what you intend to do, if that is not your purpose, if that is not the basis for all of your advocacy, then we would ask you to remove the name Black from the caucus.
Because when you think of the Jewish lobbies, they are advocating for Israel. When you think about the South Korean lobbyists, because here in America, we have a lot of South Koreans, they are lobbying for South Koreans. When we hear the Latino and or Hispanic caucuses, they are advocating specifically for Latino and or Hispanic people. And of course, there's a difference there. And what your point is that when it comes to Black people, we get merged into this minority pie, which also includes white women?
Yes, most definitely. So the issue is that whenever a person wants to talk about Black people, and you see it in the street right now, right? You see Black people shot down like dogs in the street. You see Black people with police having their foot on our necks. But all of a sudden it morphs into people of color. We want criminal justice reform for people of color. You know, tell me the last time you saw an Asian man shot down in the street like a dog with bullets in his back. So people in America seem to have a very hard time focusing on, let's have a discussion about Black people. Whenever it comes to Black people, it morphs into people of color, and the business sector in particular, it morphs into small businesses, minority businesses. Let's talk about diversity. Let's talk about MWBE. Let's talk about DBE. And we're saying, who said all of that? We said Black. You know, why is this so hard for people to say Black and then to focus on Black? And certainly if the Congressional Black Caucus cannot focus on Black, then we have a problem.
I got you. So we have to wrap this up. I want to thank you for joining us, but what can people do to support the Black Business Empowerment Commission? What's the call to action, Zavilla?
So the immediate call to action, and thank you for asking that, is yesterday in honor of Juneteenth and the legacy we have with a tradition of economic success. One would think that we have a tradition of economic failure, but Doni, you've done the great work to document that we've had successful Black-owned business communities all across this nation. One can debate what happened to them, but we certainly did build them and we did have them. So in honor of Juneteenth and recognition of all of our ancestors who are entrepreneurs, we launched a website yesterday. It's called the Black Business Empowerment Commission.org. So it simply is BBEcommission.org. We'd like for people to go to that website, look at the kinds of things that we're talking about on a national level. We would hope that Black people, Black entrepreneurs, and others agree with us. And if they do, we'd like for you to go to the button for the Get Involved page. Thank you. The Get Involved page, and simply press the button that says, I want to be a supporter. What we need to do is build our numbers leading up to these political conventions in August, because you know they love ignoring us. But we want to be undeniably showing them a set of numbers through our social media, through our website, to say that we do indeed have a national campaign and that they cannot ignore the agenda that we are putting forth. And we're saying that if they cannot adopt as part of the Democratic or the Republican platform, that they are willing to address the economics of Black people, then maybe we need a blackout on November 3rd, 2020, in terms of the presidential election, that our vote cannot be taken for granted, that yes, indeed, people died for us to have this vote, but I don't think that they died for us to give away the vote. And the other thing I would say is to our people is please, please, please do not operate from a place of fear. People will have you based in fear saying, oh, you must vote for Biden because we don't want Trump. What does that mean? Where are the policies? We want to see policies that will positively impact our communities, and we want to make informed decisions based on having understood these policies. I hate Trump, and we're afraid of Trump is not a policy.
You said it. Let's get the website one more time. I'm so, you warm my soul to know that we have a gladiator sister who's not only an architect, but who's a supermodel as well. We're just blessed to have you, Zavilla.
You're too kind. So once again, we'd like for people to go to B as in boy, B as in boy, E as in every, commission.org, BBE commission.org. And please sign up and say that you're a supporter, and follow us on social media. And please encourage at least 10 of your friends, people in your network, if you know influencers that have thousands of people who follow them, please encourage them to follow us as well, because this will be a national campaign led from the bottom up, not from the top down. It's going to be based on thousands and thousands of Black business owners and friends and families of business owners acting collectively to march toward August, the end of August. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and I will see you on Monday, June 29th. We're going to be bringing some Black Wall Street awards to town, and we have a couple of interviews to do. But thank you for all that you do. I'm so honored and grateful to know you.
Well, thank you also. And yes, Doni is a proud member of BBE, and he's helping us lead the charge. So kudos to him as well. Bless
the Lord. You've been watching the Doni Glover Show. Do stay tuned, and we'll be back in a moment.
Every business needs video. Video is a brilliant and viral tool that attracts, engages, and converts viewers to take action better than any other marketing tool on the web. Now, think about your customer making a buying decision after watching your video. Call us and let's use the power of video to grow your business. 443-552-4821. Or visit our website, chosenmedia.com.
All right, we'd like to welcome you back to the Doni Glover Show. We've just finished talking with Zavilla Jackson Preston up in New York City about the economics of the Black community. And something that was in New York and of course the Black Business Empowerment Commission nationally. Here in Baltimore, there was a situation that unfolded over a week ago. Has it been 2 weeks now, Kelly?
Almost 3.
Okay.
Almost 3.
Okay, 3 weeks. And a white gentleman with a crab house called Vince's became the source of a lot of contention, and people were not pleased. We welcome to the Doni Glover Show, Ms. Vaughn. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good, good. So, Kelly, what happened?
Okay, June 1st, it was uncovered that the owner, Vince, made racial comments online. Upon seeing the first comment, then you know how we do on social media, everybody went back and back and back. And the more people went back, the more racist comments were uncovered. He had no problem with citing rap lyrics, calling us niggers. And then, of course, that led to his sister's page, who was also in the business, who has no problem calling us the N-word or anything else she feels like calling us. The community found out, stormed up there that Saturday morning, and I believe that was June 5th. I stormed up there that Saturday morning. I was already organizing a protest to happen at 4 o'clock. I know that's his hot hour because I've been a patron up there for years.
And you had no idea that he was this way?
No idea. No idea until it was uncovered. And so before we could even get to 4 o'clock, at 10:30, people were approaching his business. When I got on the scene, because I rushed over there, They literally wanted to drag him out, destroy his business, and destroy him. And instead of going inside the establishment, I was outside trying to make peace, because if we go in, we riot, we loot, he's going to collect the insurance claim and move on.
And that would be self-defeating.
Absolutely, and it would mute the message. So I sought to save the message in some sort, organize us, reorganize us, stop those who wanted to riot and loot, and reorganize us to protest, and we have been doing that since that day.
So my question is, and it's okay, I think it's okay for me to ask, how long do we punch him in the mouth, boycotting his business, or are we doing more than just annihilating his business?
I think that is a wonderful question. I've been asked that on so many platforms, so I appreciate the question. The answer to that is that we have multiple strategies in place. It is our desire, our group, to see his doors closed, because he has not, even though you can say you're remorseful or you can show you're remorseful.
Amen.
Over the weeks, there hasn't been remorse in his actions. Multiple demonstrators from day one have been attacked. Multiple demonstrators. Just yesterday, we had someone identify himself to represent Vince come outside with a bat and threaten it's all in the newspaper and on the news, and threaten our protesters. And what I didn't like was when it was reported, it was as a result of an argument with protesters. That's not what happened. We never saw him coming until we turned around and he's bat in hand, and a police officer subdued him, arrested him, and they are still sorting out the charges, which could include a hate crime. It's that incident with multiple other ones. Vince himself let a German Shepherd out on us the other day.
What?
He started. Yes, he did. And this is the stuff that we don't put out there on social media, because I am a firm believer that we should never have to defend ourselves to us. So we haven't really released that stuff. Some people have said it. I don't think that people really know about it. He did that while we were protesting Monday. He set up a $500,000 GoFundMe page and stated, I'm doing this just to make the protesters upset. You can't keep poking at a bear and expect it not to respond. Now, we do put our energy into protest, and it is peaceful. No matter what you hear, it's peaceful. People can go to his establishment. They can purchase if they want to. We have not...
Shame on any black person that would go there. I don't know any other way to put it.
They're still going.
You sick a dog on me? You come at me with a bat? You call me the N-word, and I'm gonna support your business? Any black person that does that, I mean, clearly has mental health issues.
Absolutely. Not only that, he's had people to put a brick through the window of one of our protesters. Not only that, last Sunday, my house, someone pulled up in a pickup truck. It was a white person, and they let off gunshots in front of my door. This is way deeper than Krez. We, of course, know that there are so many other places that we can go to. Now, at the root of this thing, it is racism pure, and it's out in the open, and we aren't paying attention to that. So that's why we're still in the fight. We're not there because we really want to go back. We want him to make it right. We're looking for an apology. There's no apology he can give at this point. Where we are now is we are not going to sit there and let these injustices keep happening against our people. There was a whole KKK motorcycle brigade that rolled through in front of our protesters. How can we not stand our ground and stand up to that? And so we're still doing that. We're assisting any businesses that are black-owned that want a storefront. A lot of times, our black-owned businesses, we take to Instagram, we take to the internet, and that's fine. If you got to do that to get through, you do what you have to do and you get your name out there. Now we want to invest into brick and mortars, and so I've pulled together myself 5 big investors of all different colors, but they support Black people. And what we want to do is devise this investment group, have these business owners actually give us a business plan that is workable. We have people that are volunteering to help business owners if they don't know what that's about. And then we take that business plan and we look at it, we assess it, we give them back any corrections that need to be made, and then we seek out where their brick and mortar should be, and then we help to fund them. Because a lot of Black owners can't even get funding from banks. We have so many strategies. We are giving a free crab feast to the people that we're not giving it to them as a slap in the face event. It has nothing to do with that. But we want them to be empowered. So how do you do it? You lure them in. We're going to give them free crabs, but they're also going to get a business listing of Black-owned businesses as well as businesses who support the Black people or who stand with our movement. So there are multiple strategies in place. We just want to get the word out as much as possible about that.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on this show. And as you were talking, you know, and I'm thinking of the company that produces this broadcast, Chosen Media's Calvin Watkins. I'm thinking of my company, BMOREnews.com. I want to reiterate the significance of Black-owned media. As you were talking about the injustices that this young man has done, when you talked about the Klan riding past your protest, the bats, people popping off guns in front of your house, if we don't have a BMOREnews.com, if we don't have a Chosen Media to tell these stories, then we leave it for mainstream media. And I'm going to be specific. I'll be specific. You leave it for the Baltimore Sun, the only daily newspaper in the city. Or you leave it for their media partners, Channel 11, 13, or Channel 2, Channel 45. But these are not Black-owned media outlets. And so I just encourage you, however, Be More News and Chosen Media, and I'm stepping out there, I think I speak for Chosen Media, however we can be of assistance in helping to get your message out there, please keep us in mind, because no one is going to tell our story like we can.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
What can people do to assist you, Kelly?
So I'm asking that any Black business owners, if they could contact me through my inbox on Facebook, Kelly Vaughn. It's right there. It's a public page. Just send me your contact information. And if you can, contribute to our free crab feast. Now, if you can't, you can still send the information, because at the end of the day, I'd rather our people be informed. A lot of times we post these businesses and little cute stuff on pages, right? But after so many people have posted, you kind of lose that information. We want to give it to people in their hand. And then later on, we want to produce a website that we're going to pay for. And we're going to fund that website, and we want it to be there as a resource for our people. So in any way, if people can contribute any amount, that would be great. And we're just going to keep pressing forward.
I want to acknowledge two people. One is Kelly, Ricky Vaughn. I've seen Ricky Vaughn out front pushing the protest, and he actually, when I saw him, he prompted me to reach out to you. And then I've also seen another cat who's been doing protesting for a long time, going back to the collection of illegal guns, and he pushed for the destruction of these guns, Bill Gooden. But Kelly, I gotta put in a shout out, congratulations, kudos to you. There are people younger than you who are out there fighting this fight. This is refreshing to see. You care to comment on that?
Absolutely. I'm 35 years old. I have 3 boys. I'm a single mother. And so if I don't start getting out here and addressing these issues, who's going to save my children? You know, and that's what it's all about. I look at all these children, I look at our neighborhoods, and I want to make it better while I can. And so I've never been in the forefront of any movement. I am not well versed, but I took this on head on, and I'm with it. I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to see it through.
I mean, come on now. Before you go, what are your thoughts on George Floyd, on Breonna Taylor, on Ahmaud Arbery, on Rayshard Brooks down in the ATL? What are your thoughts on this madness that has unfolded in the middle of COVID? And we didn't even touch you protesting in the middle of COVID, but come on.
Absolutely. I've heard multiple people say that it's dangerous to protest in COVID, and I feel like it is an ultimate gameplay, that these things are brought to the forefront in the middle of this, thinking that we won't step to it. But this is a generation that's like, okay, I'll risk it all just to speak up for justice.
Kelly, you being nice. I've heard your generation say, I'm not my grandparents, we will you up. You fill in the blank. Okay, but I hear this generation, not all of that kumbaya, we shall overcome. This is 2020, and if I were on the other team, I'd be afraid. I'd certainly be watching myself. You know, I got to tell you this, Kelly. On today, and I know I'm rambling. On my page today, I posted a picture of a family who had taken gun training, and a white friend of mine asked, "Oh, you're pushing for World War III. Why is it the Klan can ride past people protesting? Cops can shoot our people down like dogs. But as soon as we prepare, oh, don't do that." I don't understand that. Do you?
Because we're leveling the playing field, and they never saw that coming. We've always been under them. They've always had our knees on, or their knees on our necks. And now this is a generation that says, well, if you have a gun, here I come with mine. And I'm going to do it legally so I don't get put into incarceration and become another statistic. So we're just more educated. We know our rights. We're bold. We're out there. And we're willing to take that stand.
This is not the generation that's going to have dogs biting them.
Absolutely not. When that German Shepherd came out, one of my protesters said, my house down the street, I'm about to go get my gun and shoot him. I mean, we're just not afraid like that anymore. So for all the people that say they're going to kill y'all, especially yesterday with the bat incident that was made public by the media, we didn't call them to report that. They just came out with it. They got their story from the police. They didn't even talk to us. But when we came out with that, it's like, no, we're not going to back down. We'll be here every day until he closes.
Are these acts of cowards?
Absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely. Well, they get this old guy that's barefoot in overalls, and they blame it on him being drunk and belligerent instead of the fact that they called him down there to do that.
Wow. Okay, let's put your contact information one more time. Thank you for your patience, for coming, preparing to come on the show. Thank you for the heart. And you have my contact information. And if need be, we'll call our forces, because we're not going to have anyone popping off in front of your door, anywhere near you, your children. We're not tolerating it. And I hope you do call the police and make a report, because these things are not to be tolerated at all.
We definitely do. It was actually broadcast all over the Citizen app when it happened. So I had multiple people checking on me, and the Baltimore City Police is where I was at the time, because I have two places. So
they can check those cameras in the vicinity for the vehicle.
And they are. It's an ongoing investigation. They're going to take care of it. But my contact information, you can just look me up. Kelly Vaughn, KELLIE. VAUGHAN on Facebook. You can inbox me. Everything is public, and I welcome anyone who wants to have a healthy dialogue or wants to help.
Well, for you and all of the sisters out there in particular, you make me think of Fannie Lou Hamer. You make me think of Harriet Tubman. You make me think of Nanny the Maroon Queen down in Jamaica, Queen of the Maroons. They were not tolerating this hocus pocus, chicanery, tomfoolery. Thank you for being the soldier that you are.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Good deal. You're watching the Doni Glover Show. We're going to take a pause for the cause, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Lanaya, and as a dancer, I've learned that I can achieve any goal that I set for myself. And one day, I want to own my own business. That's why I'm inviting you to the Making Dollars Make Sense Summer Camp here at Morgan State University. At the Making Dollars Make Sense Summer Camp, you will learn how to run a business, invest in trade in the stock market, and take part in the small business pitch competition and win prizes. And since women make up the fastest growing group of new entrepreneurs, it is a must to be there. I think I'll buy some stock in Michael Kors, Nike, or even Under Armour. Because if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Make sure you register at makingdollarsmakesense.org.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Watch this show. With your support, we're going to be able to take it to larger airways and reach even more people. But I got to say, one, a special thank you to our producer, Calvin Watkins of Chosen Media, a wonderful partner to help get your project to the masses. But also a special shout out to my daddy in heaven. And happy Father's Day to all of the daddies out there. I had a wonderful daddy. And I hope you had a wonderful one too. I have nothing but good memories. Got my butt kicked a couple times. Was really bad. But thank God for the fathers, because since I've become an adult, I've come to realize how many of my friends did not have dads. I've come to realize how many women did not have fathers in their life and the impact, or women who had rotten daddies and the impact of that. And so I'll leave you with a couple of tidbits. One is, most any man can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a daddy, and it takes someone really special to be a stepdaddy, because stepdaddies don't get no points. And then another thing I want to share with you is this, and this came from my ex-wife. She and I are still cool. She said it like this. She said, if you raise your children, you can spoil your grandchildren. However, if you spoil your children, you'll raise your grandchildren. My name's Donnie Glover, and you've been watching The Donnie Glover Show.